What's up, everybody? Justin here. I'm back for more CD collection. It has been a little bit. I've been really fucking busy. Again, that's what happens when you grow up. Work has been really busy. Life has been really busy. So it's just at night I just want to go to fucking bed. But so anyway, I've got a couple days. I'm gonna try to knock a few of these out. I got a couple of ideas for some new stuff. I haven't done a 5-minute favorites in a long time. I haven't done a new stuff video update. I have a few new things that I've gotten in the past few weeks, but not a lot. I've not been buying a lot of shit lately, but I got a few choice things I want to talk about that I've gotten. Let's get into some more CDs. We are in the H's. We're moving along, and I got an interesting stack here, a nice kind of a varied stack, so we'll get into that. First, we are listening to Luda, or Latomasol, I'm not sure how you say it, with Overcoming Babel. Luda is a Ukrainian black metal band that I started listening to years and years and years and years ago. First black metal project I ever participated in. We put out a tape on Total Holocaust Records out of Sweden. And did some trading and stuff, and I got one of their CDs called Quintessence. And I think it was their third full length, and I loved it. It was really just kind of dark, you know, nasty sounding black metal. It definitely had that Ukrainian, you know, Eastern Bloc sound to it. And I kind of kept up with them throughout the years. They've got a bunch of full lengths. I want to say like, you know, 8 or something by this point. But Overcoming Babel is the most recent full length they did. It came out in 2012. It's a big, nice fucking J-card. Everything is in Ukrainian. Lots of killer illustrations. And you can, it says on here somewhere, English translation of the lyrics available on personal request with an email address. So Luda is it's a solo project, and it's really riffy, and by the time they got to this record, you know, 7, 8 records deep, he has this very, very eerie melodicism, the way he writes songs, the way the riffs kind of wind in and out of each other. And it's got that nasty, raspy, barked Ukrainian vocal style that I like so much. They're just a very, very, very unique band. And this tape, Wart Records put out of Tampa. They're no longer around, but the guy who ran Wart now runs Steelworker Records, which is a brick and mortar metal record store in Tampa. Go check them out. I bought a bunch of shit there a couple months ago. Anyway, Luda, I'll link this below. Go check them out. I love this band. No one ever talks about them. A very, very unique black metal band that has put out some great... I've got almost all their records. I'm missing a couple of them. I only have this one on tape, and I have the rest of them on CD. But Luda is fucking awesome. So, into the CD collection, and up first we have Hades with Again Shall Be. And this is the Norwegian Hades, hence Hades Norway. They had to differentiate themselves many years ago. And I don't know a whole lot about Hades. I bought this at Vinyl Fever, which I mention in a lot of videos. And I bought it purely based on the fact that it looked like a black metal CD. And I probably bought this 20 years ago. I mean, this came out on Full Moon Productions, and it is Full Moon Productions #2. And some of you young kids may not know about Full Moon. Full Moon was a black metal record label out of Central Florida. Existed in the 90s and into the 2000s. That put out a lot of cult shit back in the day. And was notorious for its message board. And the message board, I met many people through that message board that I'm friends with still on Facebook and things like that. That we only know each other from that message board. but there was so much shit talking and so many inside jokes, and that went down there. But there was a lot of just, I discovered a lot of awesome shit through the FMP board, and through the Full Moon used to put out these little paper catalogs, and it was a half-size sheet of paper. So it's a whole sheet of paper, folded over and stapled. They're usually 5 or 10 pages thick. And you call them up and order and tell what you want out of the catalog. And that's how I discovered a lot of bands, by just ordering shit out of the FMP catalog. So anyway, Hades was a Norwegian black metal band. I'm not sure which record this was, first, second, third, I don't know. But it's a really kind of like plodding and menacing, kind of slow. It's not like a doom record, but it's just kind of a slower black metal record. But what I like about Again Shall Be is it has one of the best drum productions. It's just this pounding, fucking booming, relentless fucking drum sound on it. It's so good. But if anyone was ever like, what's your favorite black metal drum sound? This album. So, well, then, for something completely different, we have the second album by Hank Williams III. So, I've mentioned before, I like old country music. I think a lot of guys my age, especially from the South, regardless if you're into punk or metal or whatever, you like old country music. It's just part of growing up. And there's a handful of artists that I really, really like, but there's a lot of stuff I don't know a lot of Hank Williams Jr. stuff. I have a handful of Hank Williams records, but somewhere along the line, this came out in 2002, I heard Hank Williams III. And until that point, I didn't know that there was a Hank Williams III. And so, he's Hank Williams Jr.'s son, Hank Williams Sr.'s grandson. He's not actually the third. His real name is Shelton, but he looks and sounds just like Hank Williams. And this may be all shit that you know. I mean, he's a popular artist. But most famously, he's a punk rocker. You know, he's got long hair. He wears patch vests and shit, and he plays in like a punk metal band in addition to doing country music. And he's played in a couple of bands with Phil Anselmo and Mike Nine from I Hate God. But this record, so his first record was called Rise and Outlaw, and it's traditional, kind of old-timey country music, and so is this one. And it's such a solid fucking record. It's about lost loves and drinking and smoking and getting fucked up and just being southern and rowdy. But it's so genuine sounding. And he's got a bunch of records. This came out in 2002, so it's 16 years old. And I saw them in 2004. So at the time, he only had 2 albums. And the next one, Straight to Hell, was about to come out. And his records they've ebbed and flowed as far as their quality. Some have gotten a little more like raucous sounding. He dumps himself hillbilly. But this one is just standard fucking legit country music. And it is so incredibly awesome. But I like a lot of his stuff. But this is the only one that I own. And I've listened to this so many times. But I absolutely love this. Piece of trivia, there's a guy here in Atlanta who I'm buddies with who makes pickups, guitar pickups. And I have one of these pickups on my guitars. His name is Alex. He's a rad guy. He's super, super smart when it comes to like wiring and electronics and stuff like that. He does like tech stuff at shows for bands. He used to be the touring merch and keyboard player for Hank 3. I think that's rad. Okay, so on to something completely different. This is Heavens with Patent Pending. So, in one of my very first videos, I talked about Alkaline Trio, who were a punk rock band from Chicago. And they're this really dark, melodic punk rock band, and they're really fucking awesome. You've never listened to them. And the singer of that band, Matt Skiba, did this project 10, 12 years ago. Yeah, it came out in 2006, 12 years ago, called Heavens, and it's kind of a dark electronica pop thing. And it's him and another guy. It's all like drum machines and keyboards, and Matt Skiba sings on it, and it is so fucking good. It's just really dark house music, and it was kind of a project. They did this and nothing else. They played a couple shows, and that was it. But this is really like dark, late night, driving around, or late night, you need to come down from the high music. Man, it's so fucking good. I cannot recommend it enough. So then we have Hemophagia. Hemophagia means to eat blood, with From Sickness to Cult. And this is ultra brutal death metal. And came out on Severed Records. I first heard this on MySpace a long time ago. And the first song, Appealing Obliteration, has this kind of quick start, and they stop, and there's a drum fill. And it's just the nastiest, like, pingy piccolo snare drum fill in all of brutal death metal, and it immediately hooked me. And I finally, after years and years and years of listening to this on YouTube and having a downloaded version of it, I bought it from the Severed booth at MDF a couple years ago. And I probably acted way more excited about it than you would expect someone to for such a fucking obscure Italian brutal death metal CD. But I was like, oh fuck, there's that album. But I love it, man. I have such a soft spot for brutal death metal. Hemophagus with Slave the Necromancer. I have not listened to this. I got it in a trade, Despise the Sun Records, and I did this trade with Despise the Sun. But I think they're kind of like thrashy death metal-y, grindy death metal. I'm not real positive. I'll link it below. We'll check it out. This came out 2008. It's 10 years old. I'm not sure. I've never thrown it on. Just took it out of a box, threw it on the shelf. And then we have Amit with Nature Mystic. So Emit, just Emit, is a black metal band that I've never listened to. I think they did some stuff on Total Holocaust Records. And Amit is the same guy doing like ambient music. And from the best of my memory, it's got a fold out kind of eco wallet thing here. This is just kind of like nature sounds and light ambience, and it sounds like it would be playing in a, a natural food store or something. And I think I've listened to it once, but I will have to link it below and we'll get reacquainted with it. So here's something really awesome and really fucking old. I've had this for every bit of probably 20, 22 years, whenever it came out. So this is a comp called All About Friends. And when I probably bought this when I was 16 years old. So I've had this over 20 years. I bought it at a show, I remember. We had a club in the town I'm from. And the guy who ran it had a little distro. I'm talking like a shoebox with CDs and 7 inches in it. And I bought this one time, and it's just... the sticker here says Hardcore Maniacs number 5. And you had to split the sticker to open it. And this is completely like homemade. They've printed all these pages to this booklet and then stapled it all together with cardboard. But it's a Midwestern, like came out of a label in Kansas, hardcore compilation. And you got Botch and Coalesce and Indecision and Trial doing a Crucified cover, and the Indecision song on this is to this day my favorite Indecision song. But this was just, it was a hardcore compilation, and back then that's how you discovered bands. You'd buy these comps. You'd buy, 7 inches that looked cool. You couldn't just go and listen to this shit online. But this is so cool with this book with, little stories about every band and the lyrics and pictures and the CD back here. But now I haven't listened to this in years and years and years and years and years, but it was always cool. It was always cool. And this band, State Route 522, I don't know shit about them, but this song, Jumpin' Someone Else's Train, is a Cure cover. Alright, then we have, so this is funny, right past that is another hardcore compilation called The Harder They Come from East Coast Empire Records. I've also, this came out in 97, so over 20 years. And this is another comp that I discovered a lot of bands on back then. Hatebreed, before, this came out when Hatebreed had one record. Who else is on here that I liked? Oh, Darkest Hour. The last song, Path of Despair, is a Darkest Hour song when they were literally like kids. I mean, they were children. And they were just a legit, like, hardcore band. They weren't this melodic death metal band like they are now. But this is just another example of just, you know, got all the lyrics in here. This is a nasty, dark, hardcore record. And I listened to this shit so much when I got it. Just that's how you discovered bands. And when I was in high school, I was just, you know, all of my friends were into punk rock and hardcore, and I listened to metal, and we all skateboarded together. So I got into a lot of punk rock and hardcore via them. At the same time, I'm going home and I'm listening to Morbid Angel and Cannibal Corpse. And then I'm going to, you know, punk rock shows on the weekends. So speaking of Hatebreed, I do have 2 Hatebreed CDs. And this one, Satisfaction as the Death of Desire, this is a hard fucking record. This shit will punch you in the fucking mouth and bloody your nose. It's still hard as fuck. I listened to this shit just recently. I put it in my car and I listened to it for like 4 days straight. It is hard as fuck. Dude, it riffs so hard. And, I mean, there's like blast beats on this shit. And no one in hardcore was playing like that 20 years ago. But this record came out and set the stage for so many bands, good and bad, 20 years ago. When I got this, I first heard Hatebreed on the local college radio station where I'm from. A friend of mine, who's a lot older than me, what up, Dan? Dan had this hardcore radio show called Hour of Discontent. It came on like, you know, Thursday nights at 10 o'clock or something. I used to record it on tapes and listen to him. And he played a song off of this, Last Breath. And I recorded that shit to tape and I listened to it over and over and over again. And then I bought this at that same club from my buddy's distro that I was telling you about. And, you know, it's just, it was, I liked death metal. I was into Obituary and Morbid Angel and Cannibal Corpse and Deicide. And this was a heavy, hardcore record. I was really like, you know, I had just gotten into shit like Bloodlet and Integrity and these other victory bands. And so this shit was right up my alley. Well then, they didn't do shit for 5 years and everybody fucking forgot about them. And then they came out 5 years later, they signed to fucking Universal Records and put out Perseverance. And I have listened to this shit once. It did not hold a candle to how heavy and abrasive Satisfaction is. And I just, you know, I bought it at like fucking Target or something. It tainted the whole mystique of a band like that for me. And this just did not have the appeal and the feel and the fucking genuineness of that first record. And I've never listened to anything they've done ever since. So that first record though, man, it's a fucking beatdown. So then we have Hate Forest, the most ancient ones, another Ukrainian black metal band. And Hate Forest is like a grim, nasty, obscure, lo-fi black metal band wrapped in death metal production. I've got a couple of their records, and I have this CD, but I don't know enough about Hate Forest to know what's what and where it falls. I can't remember if this is a full length or if it is a collection. But it's, I mean, it's awesome. and it's just nasty, grim, hateful black metal, you know, with hate and scorn to the worthless humanity, its values and ideals, and there you go, fucking edge alert. So I really like Hate Force though a lot, and I will throw this on from time to time, and I'll listen to the records I have. I need to get more in it. I know they have a link to Druk a little bit. Blood of Kingu, I gotta figure out what the link is there. I don't remember. Then I've got 2 albums by Have a Hedge. Have a Hedge, most famously, you've got Paul Edney here. Paul is a very good buddy of mine. Of course, Paul was the first drummer in Incantation, and then he left Incantation to start Profanatica, who, as of the last couple of years, are killing it. They went from being just this super obscure American black metal band that played one show every 9 years to they have been on basically a world tour for the past 2 years. I've had the opportunity. My band has played, both of my bands have played separate shows with Profanatica 4 or 5 times in the last 10 years. That's how we become buddies. And 2 of the members of Profanatica live here in Atlanta. So we're pretty, you know, we see each other a lot. But Have a Hedge, Profanatica's first run ended in the 90s. And Paul had started doing Have a Hedge, and it was this nasty black noise, you know, electronic, bass-heavy, rumbly, nasty black metal thing. But then he flipped the script a little bit and recorded Dethrone the Son of God, which is basically Profanatica tracks. And some people, arguably, they like these versions of the Profanatica songs better, you know, the way Have a Hedge does them. And then he laid Have a Hedge to rest, brought it back a few years ago, and he's done several releases, and I have most of them on vinyl, but then I also have this one on CD, Kimbotanian Premaster, and I think this is more back to the early Have a Hedge sound. I don't remember listening to this a whole lot. It might not have clicked with me. But I'll have to, I think this is a full length. It looks like it's a full length. And I'll have to see where this falls in line in the discography with what he's been doing since he's brought Have a Hedge back. But my favorite Have a Hedge material, aside from the Profanatica material, is that early stuff. Unholy Darkness and Impurity, Man and Gin. But I like the aura and the atmosphere and the dank fucking nastiness of Have a Hedge. So then we have Headrot, Gulping the Remains. Headrot was a band from like New Hampshire or something in the 90s, and they're kind of a nasty like gore grind, death grind, old school death metal thing that no one had heard of except for people that lived there. And then I think Mark Riddick, the artist who did all the art, kind of spearheaded getting this put back out. It came out on Pathos. And I listened to this once, and it was alright. You know, it looks... I think my memory of it is that it looks a whole lot fucking cooler than it sounds. But I don't remember. Okay, 3 more. And I have 3 albums by Hecate Enthroned. Cradle of Filth Light. And, so I've talked about Cradle of Filth at length, and I really like old Cradle of Filth and the 2 most recent Cradle of Filth records a lot. Like a lot of people my age that got into black metal in the late 90s, you probably got into Cradle of Filth because they were accessible. And they were grandiose and over the top and flamboyant and, you know, vampiric and evil. And then somewhere along the line, I read about Hecate Enthroned. And I picked all 3 of these up at Vinyl Fever, and I think at the same time. So someone had probably sold, you know, them all. And it sounds like a darker, more mysterious, grimmer, poorly recorded early Cradle of Filth. And I want to say that someone from Cradle of Filth either started this band or had a hand in this band, but I do not remember. And I may be completely wrong, and it's going to flash on the screen in just a second because I will have looked it up by now. I'm not sure. I will have to look. But just, it's grim, you know, melodic, orchestral, symphonic black metal. So I've got Slaughter of Innocents, A Requiem for the Mighty, I believe was their first record, you know, 97 on Death Records. Just, God, it just reeks of the fucking 90s. And then we've got Upon Promethean Shores, Unscriptured Waters, also came out on Death Records, 96, so this predated Slaughter of Innocents. Then we have Kings of Chaos, which came out in 99, and I do not like this one as much. I remember when I got these, I listened to the other two a bunch, and listened to this one once or twice. It was way more direct and thick and in your face and kind of, you know, more modern sounding. And I didn't care for it. And I have not kept up with them since. I don't know what they've done since. But I really like that early stuff. And it fills a void when you're burnt out on Cradle of Filth, but you still want to listen to something similar. It's not as vampiric and fucking cheesy. But it's, you know, it's a look at that time in, you know, the late 90s black metal scene and the UK black metal scene. So, anyway, that's it. This was a long one. I haven't done these in a while, so I wanted to get through a bunch of stuff. But let's talk about this stuff. I want to hear your thoughts on it. I want to hear stories from you guys. And I got some more stuff coming up. Like I said, I got some new stuff. I got to do some 5-minute favorites. And I'm going to do something. I have a new idea that's going to benefit you guys because I'm going to sell you shit. Anyway, let's talk about these. Comment, like, subscribe. Shout out to Canyon. He mentioned me in a video last week, and I picked up like 55 subscribers in a couple of days, and it was fucking awesome. So, mad props to you, man. And I'll talk to you guys later.